Okay, what we're looking at are key fundamental aspects to what it is to be a human being. So, this, even though we're not directly reading from the Bible, this, in essence, I will be doing everything in the power to communicate to you in alignment with what's real and what is true. So, I think on our last video we ended with maybe forgiveness, but let's start today with the word simplicity. And basically, we're going to go as far into each word as possible. But simplicity in relationship to life, in relationship to perspective, in relationship to identity. Simplicity is a understanding of who you actually are. And what you are is so much more than who you may have been raised to think. In other words, Christ is within you, God is within you, and the power that be, the power of creation, resides within you. Now, when you look with simplicity, you can discern and feel if your ego is taking that. Or you can also feel if your heart is receiving it, independent of identity. In other words, the ego is I or me, right? Who we refer to as our name, our body. But inside of our hearts is what we actually are. So each of us have this fundamental same structure, every single human being. And change happens through heart. So simplicity in life is most important around identity. And when you are clear on what and who you actually are, why you're here, I'm not saying you need to know everything. I'm not saying you need to know your future. I'm saying that your faith has been activated and your heart has been opened and your eyes can see and your ears can hear. So, that, without the parable, is pretty much the dissertation that you have awoken to see the truth. The truth is communicated via sensitivity. Sensitivity in heart, meaning non-obsessive identity with mind. Mind, in other words, is ego. Ego is memory, knowledge, and experience, all necessary. Truth is beyond all of that, yet still intertwined with ego. Without the ego, truth wouldn't have anything to express through. So, simplicity is this just remapping of how you see the world and how you see yourself. And as you do that, we can bridge to simplicity in other areas of life. But that itself, what I've just said, is the most cornerstone, fundamental groundwork to simplicity. It is in relationship to truth, heart, and identity, and awareness of that which you truly are. So, simplicity in other areas of life is that you walk with faith and that you don't overthink. Now, you're going to have doubts and fears. You cannot surrender a doubt or fear without noticing it. So you, with awareness, can see when your mind is chattering and when you're operating in weakness, lower emanations, in other words, ego identity. And this simplicity around your worldview invites you into a rhythm, a way of being guided where you don't need to force your life into existence, but you let it come into existence. You let it be born because your heart has been reborn. See, the old way is forcing. The old way is willpower. The old way is thinking that you have to plan every little detail to make things work. Now, in business, in career, in life, you definitely need to be organized. You definitely need to show up on time. Well, hey, at least like no more than 5 minutes late. And you, you do need to let go and realize that you're guided. So the old way is just not being guided. The old way is thinking that you have to make it happen. The new way is a simple awakening to, oh yeah, this is hard, but I can let myself be carried through the hardness because the current's working with me. And when you get in alignment with the current, or in other words, the golden wave of fortune, right? You start swimming with the stream. And what I mean is not mainstream. I mean the stream of your heart. And when you're in that current, you get better, right? Just as life works, you get better when you do things. And at first, you're not ready for the wave. You're not ready to ride and surf the golden wave of fortune. But as you surrender and you let go and you continuously tap into that connection, which is the trusting and the faith and the courage and everything, which is in awareness, in alignment with letting go of who your old identity was, as you do this, then your surfing capacity just gets increased in a accelerating manner. So it's natural that your life gets better because the current's strengthening. So in the beginning, we need to be patient. Now, where simplicity comes in here is that you don't need to obsess over time. Now, you're going to have phases where you get stuck in time. And how do I put it? Sometimes you're going to snap out of those phases and it is going to be extremely hard because you've been caught in time. So basically, when you're caught in time, you end up attaching to things around you. But naturally, God supports you and Christ is within you, and your life may be meant for bigger things. So then you get snapped back out of time, usually practically simply that happens to you through a rock bottom sort of situation or a hard situation, a heartbreaking situation, something which crumbles you, but it's what you needed. It strengthened you and it broke you out of the complexity of identity and time. So simplicity is really realizing that everything in the world is in the moment. It's right here, it's right now. That being said, you can have foresight, you can have understanding, you can learn from the past, all of that. But here's the funny, to learn from the past, you have to be present in the moment. I know. What did he just say? I'll say it one more time. To learn from the past, you have to be present in the moment. What I mean more practically is that you're going to have a past thought come up. And if you go back into the past, trying to control things you can't control or change things you can't change, what if, shoulda, coulda, that's not what we're talking. But when you go into the past and you bring it into the moment, you see. And when you see, there's no speck in your eye. So you get insights into the nature and essence of what happened. And with those insights beyond thought and time, see, those insights are like lightning bolts from source, because you can only receive those when you're present, right? When you're present, you get a gift. When you're open to receive, you get a gift. The gift is the insight of being in the moment. That insight shows you and teaches you all the things that you are blind to. And this happens and happens and happens continuously. I don't know if there's an ever end, but you get all of this pain to then bring the pain and feel it. When you feel it, you are carrying the sin of humanity. It basically. And that's each of our jobs. It isn't just like something only one person can do. This is something that everyone is responsible for. You need to carry the sins. And that means that you look at your life. And that means the only way you can do that simply is to be present. So to be present, how can we install some simplicity into the nature of presence? Well, basically, you need to notice what makes your mind hyperactive. For me, things such as staying up too late, sleeping in, and doing activities that I know I'm not meant to be doing, they create a hyperactivity in my mind, which is my lower, my weaker, my ego. And when the mind is active, all space is taken by the mind, and therefore there is no space to receive the truth, which is in your heart. So, as you learn and you walk and you change, the heart begins to awaken to a point where the mind is no longer the master, the heart is the master, Christ within is the master, and the mind is a mere servant. So you start to see unity in communion because you awaken to the fact that inherently truth is truth and truth runs through all of humanity. And it takes simplicity to see that because not everyone can see that. And you need to have compassion for those who are blind. See, you don't condemn, they may burn in the fire because they're blind, but you didn't send them to the fire. They did that voluntarily. And there will be a fire. There will be gnashing of teeth, right? And that's necessary. Everyone has to go through it. But as you step through, as you move through the fire, then the darkness, the old, gets burnt out, right? How water gets purified through boiling. You see, there's baptism through water, and there's baptism through fire. And they say Christ is here to baptize through fire. And that means that the essence of the truth is not gentle, always. But it can be gentle. The essence of the truth is that it will make you face yourself. And that's hard, because then you have to go through the fire and look at your darkness. But when you face yourself, when you do honestly, then your heart will be open to receiving, because you see all the sin, you see all the darkness, you see all the weight, and you take responsibility and accountability while also being aware that this isn't even your job, and it's not your fault, and there's nothing wrong with it. But the big picture leads you to unravel through now. You unravel time through being here now. And that space alters because your cells literally change as your heart changes. Identity. And with that space that has no longer been wasted, now you have an opportunity, now you have new space, which invites something new, where the darkness used to reside. Now there's an influx of something fresh. That's vitality, that's honesty, that's integrity, that is connection, that is communion, that is the change. And you can do this, everyone can do it, because it is inherent. It is inherent. So, on the topic of simplicity, we've gone through a lot. I would say simplicity in relationship to orderliness is valuable, meaning that your house, right? You see that little photo right there. You see the lights right there. I have some lighting on me. I'm not saying you need to do what I'm doing. I'm saying, hey, write things down. Have some pretty notebooks. Have some pens. Have some organizers, some baskets, some areas. Throw away the things that you don't need. Go through every cabinet, every door, every drawer in your house. Throw away things that you don't need, right? And this is the same act of subtracting the darkness from your heart, things that you don't need. The only way you can change, though, is to take a good look. Take the speck out of your eye, and then you'll see. Then you'll see what needs to change, how to let yourself change. And simplicity in relationship to consistency. I would say if you're struggling with consistency, then you need to focus more on less intensity. Usually when you're trying to be consistent and you're struggling, it's because you're too intense. So, for example, if you're struggling to work out, but every workout you do is an hour long, and you're only doing 2 or 1 a week, or you're really being inconsistent, well then switch to 30-minute workouts 2 days a week. The next week do 3 days a week. The next week do 4 days a week, 30 minutes. Then next week do 4 days a week, 40 minutes. Then you see what I mean? You build up like a pyramid. Start with a wide base, then you go narrow. You can't go narrow like a skyscraper and have no grounded foundation. That doesn't work. So simplicity in relationship to discipline. I would say set yourself up wisely. For example, nutrition. If you're trying not to be fat, well, then don't fill your house with junk food. Yeah, I know. I said it very cold, but that's an emotional problem. If you're going to the store and you have a goal, and then you're buying things that don't align with that goal, you need to feel that in your heart. Okay? That's like how I'm tying the practical to the depth of this recording. Because life is practical. The practical is the deep. The deep is the simple. The simple is the profound. The infinite is right in front of you. I know. What is he saying? He's just mumbo jumbo, la-di-da-di. No. I'm being honest with you. I'm being terribly honest with you. That's because I care. I care deeply. The compassion, the pain I have felt in my heart, I don't know what to do anymore but create. I don't know what to do anymore but create. So you're going to, sure. I have no idea how many of these I'm going to make before I leave, but there's going to be a lot of these. I enjoy making these so much. Truly, if you do want to get in shape, I do have a practical offer so I can soon be unemployed and fully self-employed. So that's my goal, to be unemployed. And yeah, it's a fitness book. It's in the description. I can guarantee you it'll simplify your journey if you do not have your dream body yet. So stick with me. Hey, but remember, it's all about the heart. You don't train for external validation. The entire book is much deeper than just shallow fitness advice. It'll also give you all of the practical advice that you need. So share this with a friend if you enjoyed it. I'd love some questions in the comments if you have any questions, and let's go. I'm grateful for you. Have a wonderful day.